All right. Hello, everyone. This is Joonas Ahola, the CEO and founder of Meeting Package. We're going to start today on time, which is unusual for us. Typically, we wait 5-10 minutes, but as it's a recording and I understand everyone has a hectic schedule, so we will be cracking on with the presentation right away. I also have Matti Rautanen, our CMO, here with me, and he will be on the later half of the presentation, then talking about more digital marketing and marketing activities itself. Going to today's topic, I hope everyone can see the screen. If someone from the audience, I see there's some of our team members also, Abby or someone could just say that you can see the screen and hear me well, so we can get started. Beautiful. Thank you. So today's agenda is all about how to drive traffic towards your own website and how to convert through your own website the best possible way. So we have a two-set series of webinars. The next one will be next week, and it's about operational excellence, meaning that once you actually receive the lead, what can you do to convert it more efficiently to business on the books? So today we're talking about how can you drive more traffic, i.e. leads, not yet turning it into business, but how can you get most out of your own website sales? And today it's split between 4 topics. So first of all, just reflecting a little bit what has changed because of the pandemic. And then we're talking about how to optimize the online user journey and user experience within your own website. And then Matti will be discussing about how to drive traffic towards your website in a measurable way, and then finishing off with a Q&A. All in all, maximum 45 minutes, but I think we can squeeze this a little bit shorter because we're, of course, appreciate the time that you put to, first of all, listen here and come join us here. So before we go to the topics, just 2 slides about Meeting Package for the ones that don't know. So we have 3 products in the Meeting Package products. So it's starting from the top. If you look at the image, you have the venue. So we have our venue and sales management software, which then also connects to the property management software, sales and catering softwares, kind of the operational softwares in a hotels that is used to hold the inventory pricing rules and the operational sides of the meetings and events business. So we can connect to the ones likes of Opera, Amrel Sales and Event Management, as well as Muse and Caspeco and many others. And what that VSM does is it's the integral part for anything that is done in the online sales, meaning the content, the images, 360s, descriptions of your property, better pricing rules, and all of the back office related items are stored in the VSM, as well as the fact of analytics and order management as such. Then if we go down, we push the rates and availability towards your booking engine. So if you take the booking engine from Meeting Package that is implemented on your own website, all the pricing, the inventory, the information can be displayed within your own brand website. And finally, then the third piece is the channel management feature that allows you to then, as you have done all the work already, you are in control of your own sales within your own brand.com. You can now also distribute it to the vast meetings and events players in the industry, such as CVT, Hotel Planner, and Venue Directory, and many others. So you don't need to do any additional extra work. You don't need to do any additional integrations. We take care of that, and you can just manage it within the channel management. Ultimately, one more additional thing is that if you look at it from a booker perspective, if they go online, they can land into your booking engine or the channel manager, or we still have a lot of bookings that come through phone, email, that you can convert into web proposals and convert the customers to an online world from an offline world. We're talking about today a lot regarding online sales. What I want to highlight, online sales is not only instant booking. If we talk about online sales, the definition means that it's measurable, it can be qualitative, and it can be also converted more efficiently than offline sales. And if I look at the equation here, we have from left to right, we have the instant booking, which we all know from bedrooms or booking a flight or anything that you book in travel is typically booked instantly online, car rentals, etc. And that's the meetings and events. We have the possibility of selling your meeting rooms instantly online, where the confirmation rate is above 90%. So technically, if you look at it from another angle, the cancellation rate is less than 10%. And the second option is booking request, which means that we actually have the availability, we have the price, but we're not allowing the customer to book instantly. These might be properties and rooms that you might want to have a little bit more control, or to see if you want to sell it better for another customer, or vice versa. And the last possible option is the inquiry, which everyone is familiar with. What is the current way of business is that people just send an inquiry. But the difference here again is that we show the content to the customer. So they see how many can it cater, what are the possible equipments in the room. They can walk in the room if you've implemented 360s and so much more. So it's not just a web form anymore. It's a possibility to inquire a room that they actually have already qualified to be possible to their event. And overall, if you look at this, the conversion rate should lie between 60 to 70% if you have configured it correctly. And that's the next webinar next week will be about the operational excellence, i.e. how to configure your property. And when you do it correctly, how can you turn booking requests into definite business and inquiries into definite business and yield the instant booking the best way possible. That's about meeting package. And now we are more about the factuals on what does online sales mean, how can you improve it, and what are the actions around both implementation as well as marketing possibilities. Now, if you look at the stats around 2019 Q1 and 2022 Q1, there's a few things that support the initiative. First of all, the average booking value has dropped 5% from that quarter towards this quarter in Q1 in 2022 and 2029. But if you look at the data around it, the average instant booking value has increased 9 to 8%, which means that there's a lot of your colleagues that are already pushing the instant booking possibility. And the more, let's say, high-class hotels or 4 or 5-star hotels come, of course, the price of an instant booking increases compared to a service office space, etc. So that alone already increases that percentage. Then the attendee amount has decreased 67% on average per booking. Now, if we take the whole holistic view of all the booking types in consideration, 67% average reducement in the delegate number. Then average lead time has decreased from 33 days to 20 days. Again, we're now looking at the holistic, all booking types. If you look at only instant bookings, it's actually smaller. If you look at booking requests, it's a little bit larger. But on average, 3 days has dropped to 20 days. What we saw during the pandemic, actually, it was as low as, I think, was 7 days or 6 days or something like that. And that's already really low. So if you think about your response time, that it takes 2 days for you to respond to the customer and the event is 5 days ahead, do you really think they're waiting for a response? And finally, that due to the shift, what we have seen now during the last 2 years, that the pandemic has caused that everyone wants to go more on the digital sales environment, the average confirmation rate has already increased 115% for the vendors that were beforehand selling offline. And response time has dropped from 89 hours to 23 hours. And mainly due to the fact that, again, you don't need to serve the smaller events where the response time then is close to 0 hours, because the only modifications are like, can I change from 5 people to 6 people and so forth. And if we summarize this and look at it from a hotels or venues perspective, why it's important now to shift to a digital environment is, first of all, the lead times and event sizes has decreased, meaning that there's not as much profit anymore in one single event as there used to be. Secondly, volume of bookings has increased. And now what we're saying, volume of bookings have increased heavily during the pandemic, from the beginning of the pandemic, which means that you don't have any more enough staff available, and it's hard to cope with the demand. And ultimately, the small meeting rooms bookings have increased also number-wise compared to what it was earlier and is currently. And then finally, customer profile has changed. What we mean by that is that it's not anymore the typical booker who has made 20 bookings, 32 bookings in the past to your property. today the booker is anyone. It's a normal person from an organization X who has never made a meeting room booking, but are going online trying to find a meeting room because they're working now from their home office and they need to have a sales meeting for 3 people or 5 people or whatever. So the broad spectrum of who are the bookers has increased compared to now the limited people within the organization. And as said, there's less staff available. So if you can't serve the smaller events because of the lack of human resources within your organization, you're going to lose the big events also, because ultimately the people who are booking the small events are also booking the big ones. And if they don't get a good customer experience from you for the smaller events, they're not going to come for the larger events either. And that's all about the fact that now we need to streamline the smaller sales that we can actually focus on the larger ones. Then going to how can this all then be optimized? What I did as an example, not handpicking any hotels. So what I did here was I just searched for top hotels in Frankfurt. And I wanted to give you now 3 examples. There's Hyatt Place and Steigenberger and Intercity from Frankfurt. I just took 3 examples out of the blue here and hope that they actually had meeting rooms, because I didn't know if they have it. So I just took 3 properties and wanted to explain kind of this is the normal way how you guys are typically selling. You have your own website, you have a lot of content there, but then you're actually hiding the meetings and events in a quite bottom of the page, or it might be in the header, but even though you go to the header, there's no CTA. And if you click the call to action button like described here, it actually goes to bedrooms. So if you're in the intention as a user that I'm in a meeting room booking now, I'm in the meetings and events page in the hotel's website, and there's a book now button. I, as a user, would of course think that I can book that meeting room there, but again, now you would land into a bedroom booking engine. And finally, there's typically CTAs like emails or phone calls, and then there's the request pricing information, which can be your own web form or a third-party application in that sense. So as you can see here, there's a web form that gives the customer the possibility to book the arrival dates, departure dates, which is all good information for you as a hotel. But as a customer, what I would love to have is the information. What are the rooms? Does it fit my requirements? And is it available, and what is the price? Here we have another example. Again, I'm quite sure many of you in the call can relate to this page, like how it's built, that in the top bar, you have your meetings and events section, and then you again have a filter. They've done a little bit one step further in this example, is that you can actually search for a date, or you give the customer the possibility to search for a date, but ultimately it's not a transactional funnel. It's just a form that is pre-filled then in a third-party application, which in this case is Meetago. So again, customer is requested to put a lot of content there without actually seeing where should I go. And this is really, really typical. I would say 95% of hotels around the world, if I just randomly select, this is the user journey that hotels have built their meetings and events pages on. And the same goes here in the final piece is, again, need to scroll down a lot to find where should I go, where is the meetings and events. In the top, we have the meeting and event. That's a really good thing. There's a lot of hotels around the world that actually hide that meeting and event in the header and don't have it there in front of the customers. And now this one again goes to a third-party application when we do it on a group level, i.e. on a chain level of that property. But if I go down back now a few slides or a few pages, now I'm booking that individual hotel meetings and events pages. And again, what I can do here is the bedroom booking engine. And the only way that I can then inquire about these hotels meeting rooms is to go through a phone call or an email. And that's something that we're here talking about. How can we optimize the window shoppers? i.e., there's a lot of traffic typically in your hotel's website. We've done so many customer researches, so many case studies with our customers that we understand that there's actually traffic in your website. But there's a lot of traffic that will not convert unless you show them the price and availability, because the new generation of people, they're not picking up their phone to call, do you have availability or what is the price, and wait for a code. They want to see it online. So ultimately, bringing that information available. Now I'm just explaining a few best practices that we have seen from our customers and our customers' implementations. I'm going to show you a few single properties as well as a chain-wide solution. So depending who's listening here, it might be something that you can rely on then and kind of see that it links towards your property somehow. Now what you see in front of you is Silo Bazel, and then as you can see in the top, I'm going to demonstrate this in a live environment also, but you can see that they have this call to action button, i.e. CTA, reserve a table, book a room, and book a meeting. They're all in the top corner of the page. Same thing here, we have Norra Latin in Sweden. They have the book now button. In this case, a little bit more content, and they have videos and images. That's a little bit based on then what do you prefer as a hotel? What is your brand recognition and what the tone of voice that you want to have? But in simplicity, the CTA is always available for the customer. I want to book a meeting room. How can I do it? And then finally, a chain-wide solution. If I go to Scandic in this case, you can see that the book a meeting widget is already in the first glance of the page. It's not when you scroll, it's already available on the first screen in the conferences and meetings section, where you can then search for date and time, location, number of people, etc. And now demonstrating a live example. So you can see the Silo hotel that I demonstrated earlier. This is the main website that they have. So the book a room here, if I want to book a bedroom, I can do it from here. If I want to book a meeting room, I can do it from here. Right away available for the customers to see where I can actually transact. If I then look at the meetings section, what they have here, now I'm in the meetings and events pages. They have their own widget on that pages, and it's only for meeting rooms. Again, I'm a user, I'm going to a meetings and events pages. What do I want to book? Meeting rooms. I don't want to have the bedroom booking widget in front of me if I'm going for the meetings and events pages. And here they can automatically see and then do the CTA. As you can see, it also hovers on the page, so they've done it extremely well. So it's always available for the customer. However, they have content here on rooms, packages, customizing their meeting room, but the same thing applies here. So whether I go to the sub pages, which are more for search engine optimization and giving content to your customers, again, I have the possibility of booking. So every sub page of the main page should have a possibility of linking back towards the call to action itself. This is just one good example, and how it then lands is now when they go and click on book, they land to the booking engine page that we described earlier, and you can see the rooms right away, you can see the packages right away, you can see what it offers, what are the seating orders, equipments, what is the pricing, and depending on the business rules, it's either instantly bookable or request, and in this case you can see it's on request basis, but at the same time as a customer already know, okay, if I want to have a half-day package, what does it mean, or full-day package, etc. And you can see all the content information, 360s, videos, and so forth. Same thing applies here. So if I go to the Norra Latin one, you can see small venues, a lot of content here, but the book now button is all the time hovering here, and it goes automatically then to the meeting package booking engine side of that. So again, instead of putting those text, we're pushing traffic directly to make a call to action. And here you can see it automatically selects some dates, so you can change the dates. And then you have the rooms available that can be booked. And here we have available immediately, so they are selling them instantly. But then some room of, let's say, the larger ballrooms, they're selling on request. So as a customer already, I know what can I book. So if I put 50 people here, it automatically takes away the possible options that I, as a customer, then cannot book. So I don't need to inquire for something that I actually cannot book or would not suit for my event. Then finally, we go then to Scandic, the chain solution, where you can see if I go to conference and meetings, and they have a lot of content here around conferences in Stockholm and Copenhagen, and all of the sub pages also link backwards then to the call to action buttons. But here I can then search, let's say Stockholm, for example, date and time, start, end time, people. And once I land, I can automatically see the full portfolio, what that certain hotel has to offer. And within that portfolio, we can automatically see which are instantly bookable, which are not. And again, same user interface, a little bit different, modified colors and so forth. You can see what are bookable now, what is the room rental. And if I would take this, I can also add my food and beverage items. If I want to have bedrooms, what is the invoicing option? So as a customer, I already know what can I book? Is it available? What kind of food and beverage options you have? Let's say morning coffee break, what I want to have at 9 a.m. So it automatically displays everything to the customer, and I can make the booking without talking to a single person, without your salespeople making any inquiries or offers towards the customer. If we start to look at this from a numbers perspective, the math tells how you are performing. This information should be accessible. If not internally, you might have an external digital marketing agency or someone who has set up your website. You should be able to receive the information on how many sessions you have in your meetings and events pages. If you don't get that information for a reason or another, that you have not set it up or whatsoever reason, you can calculate roughly, if you're a hotel that has also bedrooms and meeting rooms, 10 to 15%, depending a little bit which category hotel you are meetings and events traffic. So if your whole website has 100,000 sessions during, let's say, a quarter, 10 to 15,000 of those are meetings and events, potential customers, on roughly. Again, depending, there's ups and downs on that, depending on your category. And if we go down from here, over 5% of the meetings and events sessions should lead into a lead. And I'm not talking about business, I'm talking about the lead. Eventually, what you would call today as a web form request or a capture or an email, more than 5% of whoever visits those meetings and events pages should convert into a contact, i.e. lead, that you can then offer your services to. Next week, as said, we're talking about operational excellence, i.e. how to configure so you can get that 5% to the best income in business on the books. But now we're talking about we need to get more leads. And eventually 55 to 70% of the leads should be making transactions with instant booking. Next week, again, displaying how that will be done. 10 to 20% of them should be making with booking requests and remaining with inquiries, meaning that as a result, the end result should be roughly 60 to 70% of the leads should convert to business. And what this means is numbers again, and this would be most probably a small hotel monthly session amount. So if you look at it from that perspective, that you are a small mid-sized hotel, you have 10,000 sessions on your own websites. Again, there's James and everyone on the call today, so the numbers are depending on the size and how much traffic you have. But if you would have 10,000 sessions on your own homepage, roughly 1,500 of them would be on the meetings and events pages, then 75 of those should be at minimum captured into a lead. And then if you do the work correctly, 45 of those bookings at minimum should be confirmed. And then calculate that with your average order values, you can get the figures that you should be turning from your own website sales. So summarizing now 3 things here before letting Matti on stage. Make buying easy. Currently, there's a lot of you that actually don't make the buying and selling process or buying process, not even the selling from your side, easy for the customers to buy. Meaning that if I would be actually someone who wants to book your meeting room and I go to your website and the only thing I have is a phone number, will I click on X and go back to Google and search for someone who actually has a possibility to book, or will I find an alternative route? And keep the CTA, i.e. call to action button, visible for meetings and events pages in the first loading without scrolling. As I gave you the examples, in all of those, before you went down on the page, you already had the first call to action button. And the data shows that 35% of desktop users leave a page before even scrolling. So if it's on the bottom of your page, you miss 35% of your potential customers already. Then remind customers of booking. What I mean by this is that you have a lot of content. The content needs to be linked towards actionable items. The content itself needs to be linked so that the customer knows that hey, I'm really excited about this new package that you're promoting. Well, book now. Not so that you're just promoting something without the impact of a call to action button. And again, readers then who actually scroll, they're more likely to actually then convert because they're more engaged with your location and property. And finally, let's start with the basics. Let's at least show the customers what are your rooms, what is the price, and let's then go a little bit further in time and then show the availability. That's the minimum that I would ask from anyone in this call, is that show what you have to offer in regards to price and room content and property content. And then if you're up for it, let's go to the online booking world and optimize the sale. And that's what the next week's webinar is all about. And now I'm going to leave the floor to Matti, who is the digital marketing guru, and will tell you a little bit more about those possibilities.
Thanks, Jonas. Don't know about the guru thing, but at least I've played around with digital marketing for 15 years. Yeah, well, digital marketing, I guess they're pretty much the same thing nowadays. But can you move forward? But what I'm about to tell is that with meetings and events, it is actually that the bottleneck has always been that you can't really measure your marketing. If you can't measure it, you don't really know if it's successful. And the reason has been that the inquiry process is so long and it goes through so many systems that at the end of the day, when the event happens and the invoice is paid, you don't really know where did they come from. Sure, you could use some promotion codes or something, but those are not very effective ways. When you compare it to an, for example, bedroom marketing, online marketing, when you're as a hotelier selling bedrooms, you know exactly what your media budget is and how much money or revenue you will get from those. So as stated already, the booking window, even though it's decreased, on average it's 20 days. But you can actually measure it from the very first ad click until the actual event date and the actual value of that event date. So that enables you as a marketing or a hotelier to optimize your return on advertising spend, meaning that you can actually utilize the AI tools of Google or any of the social media platforms like Facebook to get you as much high-yielding customers as possible with your media budget. And if we go forward, and nowadays I just take one example. So we could talk about CRM integration and workflows or social media advertising, but I took Google Ads because that's proven to be a very effective way of converting new customers to your hotel. And Google does what it does best, so takes your money. And how it does it is that they actually increased their they call it rich snippet area, meaning that all that information that is above the fold, like in the picture here, that they try to make the customer to click the ads and try basically giving a lower amount of room for the organic results. And that just makes the fact that the Google Ads is even more important nowadays, because the click-through rates and the amount of clicks are mainly increasing in the ads section of Google at the moment. And if we go forward, here's an example. So on the right, we can see the keyword with Hotels London. It's 450,000 searches per month, whereas Meeting Rooms London is only a fraction of it, a bit above 1%, so a little less than 5,000 searches. And of course, this is only one keyword. You probably use multiple keywords and so on. So it's not just an example of the whole total search volume. But as an example, I'll use this. So this is actually not a bad thing. This is a good thing. And I'm showing it through numbers in the next slide that that how you actually make money with the Meeting Rooms London word, rather than with Hotels London, you would lose money. So if that's the amount of search volume, and in hospitality, the average click-through rate is 4.7%. And the average price per click in both of these keywords, in a scenario where you want always your ad to be visible in the top fold, you would actually pay media budget with Hotels London a little less than 33,000 euros. What it tells is that you need to be very good at advertising not to spend that amount, because you're losing money at the end of the day. And if you only make a slight mistake, poof, 10,000 euros has already gone on advertising with Hotels London. It's a very highly competitive keyword, especially when it comes to London. But whereas Meeting Rooms, you actually, as a hotelier, it's not that competitive at the moment. And even though the average price per click is higher, you would only spend a fraction of the Hotels London keyword media budget. And it's actually hard to make a mistake when you're advertising Meeting Rooms in any of the digital hemisphere, because at the end of the day, you are not, they are not that high volume, search volumes, that you would actually make a mistake and lose your money. So it's actually quite easy to know that fact. And let's say the conversion on advertising in hospitality is roughly 3.5% on average. And let's say that if you would only sell instant booking rooms, the cancellation percentage from direct bookings would be 10%. And because the average conversion value in hotel rooms, that's a volume business. So you need to sell loads of hotel rooms in order to actually gain money, because your gross margin is also lower when you compare it to a meetings and events. So even though we understand that meetings and events is the secondary line of business for hoteliers, but the gross margins are so much better that if you can only fix the broken path of buying the services and marketing it effectively, you're actually making quite good profit out of it. And in this example, at the bottom, you can see that the net profit from the advertising cost, if you would advertise Hotels London and always want to be on top of the Google search, you would actually lose roughly 13K. Whereas with Meeting Rooms, even though the average price per click is way higher, and even though the search volume is way lower, you would actually make money at the end of the day. Okay, and the key advantage is that there's less competition versus to the bedroom side. It's hard to make mistake, as already told. So there's that's always a soothing information for marketer. And the customer relationship is basically longer with M&T customers. So when you get the customer lifetime value is higher, because if it's a good customer experience from the very first engagement with you, you would probably get more and more like the same customer returning to your premises. And the cross-sell, upsell possibilities are very good because of the lead time. Because when the booking has been done and before the event happens, even though it's been decreasing to on average to 20 days, you still have 20 days to upsell them services. And many of the casual bookers don't even understand that, okay, yeah, they need a meeting room. And at some point, they start to figure out that, yeah, probably a breakout room, and maybe we need to eat something as well. So all those add up to your benefit, because you can measure everything throughout the whole journey, and then you can advertise it as well for the customers that didn't book anything. Let's say that they only booked a full day meeting room, That's already a remarketing segment for your marketing team. That, hey, show this ad and make them come back to you and buy some extra services because they most likely want to eat or drink something during the whole day meeting. Okay, and then if we go to the next meet, and here I've sliced down what you can actually measure. So as an example, in the next slide, then I will show later, but we have in meeting rooms in Helsinki as an example. So customer would click that and come to your website. They would go to booking engine, and then at some point they would go to checkout page that they make the booking. Now at this point, you can already use this as a conversion point and the value you can use in any of the advertising platforms available. And then comes also the sweet spot. So you have 20 days before the actual event date is. And here the aim would be to actually increase the value of the booking and also get a longer customer lifetime value. So as an example, you could advertise for a certain customer segment through email marketing automatically, or in social media, or in Google, that, hey, you probably want some extra services to your full day meeting. And at the last, when the event has happened, you can ask feedback, of course, automatically, but also offer a discount code for the customer to convince them to return to your premises. As an example, first of all, now you could enable Google AI to optimize your advertising. What it means is that you basically give Google information that now booking has happened and what was the value of that booking. So if that is a goal in Google, it will find you customers automatically with the keywords that you give to Google Ads campaign. That, let's say that you want maximize conversions, so you want as much conversions as possible. Or at the end, you can even go to a return on advertising spend, that you're only looking for customers that are high-paying customers. And of course, Google AI knows better than anybody else that where to find them. And it's in their interest to give those to you, because then it makes sure that you're giving your money to Google as well. And the upsell customers, so you could use Google Display or automated emails. So for example, you can integrate this service to an HubSpot, which is widely used CRM, like we have. So I could send an automatic email offer to all the customers that have made a booking only for meeting room. Or if I have some seasonal campaign going on, that I could offer, let's say, a Christmas dinner or something. Or if it's an evening event ending after, let's say, 6 p.m. or it's on Friday afternoon, I could automatically offer some sparkling wine to the customer. And of course, then at the end, last but not least, to increase customer lifetime value. And then if we move forward, and of course, it's basically questions and answer time at this point. But lastly said that all these basically can be measured in any, for example, Google Analytics 4, so, or any other analytic tool that you want to use. So all those are possible to implement to this whole booking path. Thank you.
All right. So do we have any questions from everyone? And thank you, Matti. And just to kind of highlight to everyone, so what was displayed just a moment ago is something that is built within Meeting Package system. So once you implement it correctly and implement it within your own website, you can actually start measuring. So it might be difficult to start measuring on an offline web form because that goes to a different system and it goes